Hey folks, happy Mother's Day. Today I celebrate uh, being a stepmom and a cat mom, and today I'm a plant mom. And I promise to be real about the good, the bad, and ugly in my gardening experience this year, and that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to share some things that aren't going really well. Um, this year I planted my tomatoes on March 22nd. Now that's 2 days earlier than the recommended time for me to start those tomatoes. And I felt pretty good about that because it was actually a little over 2 weeks longer than last year. Last year my tomatoes were too tall, and this year my tomatoes are too tall. So I did start growing these maybe too soon, despite the recommendations that I have on the planter app that I kind of live by. Next year, I think I'm going to wait until April 1st to start my tomatoes. Now, these I'm hardening off right now, but I have to wait until the 19th to plant these, at least, to avoid a frost. Now, what do you do when a plant is this big? You can strip off the lower leaves and plant it really deep. Last year I had a friend who actually planted it sideways, and this part grew up, and she actually got more than one plant out of this single plant. And so you can do that as well, but usually it's just digging them deeper, putting them farther down into the ground. Now, why is this bad to have this large of a tomato? It is just susceptible to so many things like breaking off in the wind. It just has a harder time transitioning than a smaller plant. You would think the big plant would be the perfect thing for you to have, but it's not. So my peppers I'm really happy with. I love the size. They're a beautiful, beautiful green. These did very, very well this year. I planted these on March 1st. That seems like a good starting time for me. There is a problem, however, with this, and you can see on this plant in particular that there's a white bloom starting. Last year I didn't have a clue what I was doing out here in the container garden, and I just transplanted everything right into the containers, blooms and all. But what I've learned since is that that takes a lot of energy away from the plant. It's that time, the beginning time that you plant them, that the plant should be focusing on creating stronger and more foliage. And that's so that it can support all of the peppers it's going to produce. So by leaving the flowers on, you're actually reducing the actual production. You would think it means, oh, I get peppers earlier, and maybe you do, but you won't get as many, and the plant won't be as healthy. Now, speaking of getting more peppers, I don't do this. I listen to a guy called the Pepper Geek. You can find him on YouTube, and he says don't do this. But you'll see a lot of videos that say that you should top this plant before you transplant it, before you harden it off. You should top it, and it'll create more foliage, a bushier plant, and more produce. The Pepper Geek, who I trust, says don't do it. He says it don't get any more, and it just creates more work for you. Now, if you don't remember what hardening off is, just so that we'll review that, it's what you do with your plants that you've been growing inside, and even those that you buy at a greenhouse. Before they should be out in the sun all day long, you want to set them out for a couple of hours one day, and the next day a few more hours, and the next day a few more hours, and then eventually you can plant those. But plants can get sunburnt if they're too much sun too soon. The artificial lighting that I have inside my house, or the people in the greenhouse have, it does a great job mimicking the sun, but it's not the sun. So just make sure that you harden off those plants before you plant them. A lot of times people will plant and they'll say, why did I lose so many plants? And it's just because they weren't used to the sun. All right, well, that's all for today. Happy gardening.